Thanks for tuning in to another edition of the Ship Sports Report. Today we are taking a look at the season preview for 2024-2025 women's basketball. Yes, it's 2024-2025. That's where we're at. And we are joined by two seniors from this year's women's basketball team. We are first joined by Taja Colbert. Taja, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.
Before I ask you a little bit about Shippensburg, you're a senior. You've been playing basketball for a long time in your life.
Mm-hmm.
What first got you into basketball? Like, were you playing multiple sports? That was one of them, or what got you into basketball?
Yeah, I played a lot of sports. I did gymnastics, I did soccer, I did track. I didn't really like them as much as I did basketball. It might have been like the team aspect of basketball. You really create like a sisterhood with the people that you play with. And I felt that for a very long time. So.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to ask you too, is what maybe keeps you going in a sport like basketball too. But I have to imagine too that you have that bond you form with your teammates, but also at the same time it's kind of neat because you have the ability, whether it's one-on-ones or singular things that you can do, that balance maybe of a little bit of individual, a little bit of team is what maybe makes it a little bit alluring.
Definitely. Doing just individual sport, I don't think it's as fun as being around 14 other girls that you all connect with in the same sport. So it's definitely a lot of fun.
One other thing too I'll ask you is, building maybe off of that a little bit though too, to be a senior in your sport, you've been, gosh, it's what, more than a decade that you've been playing basketball. Is there anything specific though that like keeps you like man, I really enjoy this part of it, or I enjoy that part of it, or is it because of like as a point guard you enjoy playing point, or is it just one thing about it too that you're just like, this is why I love basketball?
Yeah, definitely competition, like games. The high you get from the games, just playing, it's exciting. It's very exciting. And also just back to the teammate thing. I don't think there's anything specifically. I fell in love with basketball a long time ago. So it's just me just kind of doing what's normal.
Yeah, it's a routine almost at this point. Yeah,
basically.
And you've been at Ship for several years now. You're in your senior year. You mentioned the team aspect of it as well too. You've been around a couple phases of Ship women's basketball in a way.
Yeah.
The highs and the lows. This year's squad seems like it's a group that there's a few senior and veteran leaders like yourself, and there's the youngsters that came in last year and another group of young players that have come in this year. How is that dynamic forming? It's early in the preseason so far, but how are you coming together as a group?
It's been really good. Our freshmen are very positive, very optimistic, and they're ready to work. And you can tell each day in practice that they're coming in to focus. So I feel very confident about our season coming up.
And how important is that too from a motivation standpoint, not only for the youngsters, but even for the veterans, where like if you've got a group that's young and hungry that's coming in and others that are also motivated, like that just has to sort of fuel the fire, I feel like, a little bit in terms of wanting to get out what you want to get accomplished. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is fair to say. It definitely fuels it because it's not easy. In any sport in college, it's not easy. So to have people come in with that attitude, it makes things a lot easier.
I'll ask you first from what the coaches may be, parlaying onto you. First few days of preseason officially and even throughout the preseason, what are some of the messages or what are some of the either just fine points maybe that they're trying to emphasize right now among your team right now as to things to focus on or things that want to get accomplished?
Definitely coming into practice with a purpose, not just going through the motions or doing anything, but coming in ready to learn something, new plays, drills, whatever it is that you need to learn. Also, encouragement, making sure that we're high-fiving our teammates, we're making sure that they're in a good mental space so that they can perform as well as they can. So that's what we've really been focusing on.
And that's a case too where, like, especially if you're on the road or if there's things aren't going right, I mean, there's sometimes nobody else to pick each other up but yourselves. So that's I can see how that's a very important aspect. As a senior, what's a message that you or your fellow seniors maybe also then want to be, making sure that the other players are understanding, whether it's about Ship basketball itself or just something that for a younger player that they may not think to know about or want to understand, that you're wanting to pass along?
Probably consistency. It's a long season, and the only way through it is through it. So if you're consistent, it'll get better. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've still got about a month or so when we're recording this until games actually are, going to be taking place. But is there, there's got to be like a level of excitement or just some sort of emotion right now where, like, other than not thrilled about maybe the grind of a 2-hour practice, but just that feel in the air of like, oh man, like, and for you as a senior, like, it's like you don't want that journey to end. You're almost like enjoying the journey right now too at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like it's moving fast, actually.
Sure.
It does feel like it's moving fast, but I'm excited for it, for all of it. Yeah. Yeah,
the grind, the hustle, and all that there is. And I guess I'll leave you with one more in the sense of, you feel like that this group, there's a lot still to learn, there's a lot to form, there's a lot of things that you need to get through this month of practice, but is there like excitement or just room for like that there's a purpose out there and that like that this group could do some things this year? Do you feel like that motivation for what your group's like?
I definitely feel that motivation and also confidence. I feel like we're pretty confident right now in our younger players and in our upperclassmen. So,
awesome. Yeah. Best of luck as this season gets going, and also best of luck as the preseason keeps going.
Thank you.
We'll take a break and we'll be right after this with more on the Ship Sports Report as we take a look at 24-25 Ship women's basketball. And we're back on the Ship Sports Report. We are taking a look at the 24-25 Ship women's basketball season, and now we are joined by Abbie Miller.
Hi.
Abbie, thanks for taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I want to ask you, similar to how we asked Taja before, what got you into basketball way back when you started playing basketball?
Honestly, the men in my life, my dad and my brother. My brother is 3 years in school older than me, 4 outside of school, like just years-wise. So I was always trying to chase him and his friends around the neighborhood, reluctantly, and he would let me come along with him. And so I got used to playing basketball and sports and roughhousing. And, whenever he got into organized sports in kindergarten and stuff, my dad picked up as his coach. And so, they were doing it, my dad was doing it, and my brother got extra attention. I wanted extra attention. So I just wanted to be like my brother and, make my dad proud of me. So
is it a case too where you had multiple sports maybe as choices to play and you just gravitated to basketball?
Yeah.
If that's the case, what maybe caused you to gravitate specifically to basketball? Other than maybe your brother being involved in it.
Yeah, I played soccer and basketball. Soccer, I really enjoyed my teammates, but basketball, I really enjoyed the sport itself. So whenever it was time to make that decision, whether I wanted to play soccer or basketball in college, what could I see myself doing every single day and not getting sick of? And that was basketball for me because I don't mind doing the drills. I think that they're fun. I like to compete. And that's kind of where my inspiration comes from, is my competitive spirit.
And then going off of that, maybe what is it about basketball specifically, especially because at the high school level you certainly have to be committed, but here for any college athlete it's hours of practice, it's off season, on season, all that. Is there any specific aspect to the sport itself though that like you get it, or it's part of you at that point? Like Taja mentioned, it's like become routine at this point. Is it similar, or is it just something like I really enjoy this aspect of the sport?
Right now we're in preseason, so we're not seeing the fruits of our labor yet, but come a month later, on November 8th, we come together and see what we can do as a team. That's the fun part, whenever the ref is about to throw up the ball and you feel the adrenaline pumping through your blood, and like your teammates are all feeling the same and you're ready to come together and just crush the opposing team. It's just, there's no better feeling.
Yeah, nothing quite like it, is there? Yeah. How would you say that you see this team early on in the preseason coming together as a group, between the veterans that you're a part of that group, and also the youngsters, not only the true freshmen this year, but also the young group that came in last year that they're still only sophomores?
Yeah, we have 6 new girls and they're doing phenomenal, like Taja said. They're picking up the material. they're buying into our system, our values. So no complaints there. And then our sophomore group, that they've got a year under their belt, and I'm really impressed with how they're coming in this season with their conditioning, the work that they've done over the summer. You can definitely tell. And I think that that level of commitment has really helped us be more consistent within this preseason, and I think that's where a lot of our confidence is coming from.
You mentioned the values, the team values, and maybe core values and whatnot. Maybe for those that aren't familiar with what some of the values are of Ship Women's Basketball, could you maybe pick one or so or two or whatever to say, you know, this is important, that when people see Ship Women's Basketball, they are this or they are that, or what's one that you would say is important that people understand that your team's about?
Our favorite word always is energy, whether that be like cheer for your teammate, pick up yourself, pick up your coaches, see what they're doing. But I would say energy, like every time you come to a Shippensburg women's basketball game, you're going to see us giving our 110% no matter the score. Say we're down 20, we're still going to be battling and giving our all no matter the situation. So I just think that effort and energy and that 110% that you want to see from an athlete, that's what you're going to see from us.
Maybe last season too, it was maybe safe to say it was sort of a bit of a transitional year just because of losing a lot of people from the year before and whatnot, and coming into the last year, you guys just were battling game in and game out and putting in the work. It seems like you have a young and excited group again this year, along with your veterans who are back. What's the optimism like? What's the mode like right now? Again, it's hard to say, obviously, a month away from the first game, but like, are the vibes good? Is things feeling good from the work that you're putting in right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously thinking back to my sophomore year, that was when we made a really strong run to Glenville State and played the reigning national champions in the Atlantic Region semifinal. So that was then, and thinking to that preseason and how hard the upperclassmen were pushing us is giving a lot of what we're doing right now in our preseason. Our coach was not kidding when she said we better be doing our workout packets over the summer. So we've been pushing ourselves super hard during preseason, probably the hardest preseason that I've had, but I think that we're going to really produce a lot of good things whenever games come roll around, just from all of the hard work that we've been putting in.
And maybe not necessarily energy, or it could be a small thing, it could be a big thing. What are some of what is either a message that you are making sure that you're parlaying onto the younger players, or what's something that each practice, each drill, each whatever it is, that you make sure that they know that they need to do, or what needs to be done in order to have things be successful?
Yeah, going off what Taja said, she mentioned purpose, coming in with purpose to be consistent and focused in every practice. But to me, purpose also can mean like what helps you show up every single day. So what's your why? What are you striving for? Why are you continuing to play? Why are you continuing to, put yourself here at this level when you don't have to, you get to? So just trying to help teammates find their motivation on their own instead of from an intrinsic value, instead of extrinsically from our coaches or teammates. Just, why are you here? Really push yourself.
It's a testament to you, to Taja, and to all of you that you put in the grind. It's a grind, and you put in the effort, you put in the work, and I wish my sincere success to you all this year. I hope it's a good season, and as you finish the preseason, good luck with the rest of the preseason as well. So,
thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Ship Sports Report. Check back in November for a little bit more of the season preview and the outlook for Ship Women's Basketball and all of the teams as they begin in the winter. Visit shipraiders.com for more information. Thanks for tuning in.